The Ukulele Review Podcast. We have an exciting show for you guys with one of our best friends and someone who was an integral part of our team for a decade as we were, starting this. And he was the face in many ways of Hawaii Music Supply and the ukulele site. But we are glad to have you back for the evening. So thanks for coming down and hanging with us, Aaron.
Yeah, man, it's always good to be here. You guys are family. So it feels like I'm coming home.
Hey, all right.
Yeah.
Welcome home.
Happy to have you. Take off your shoes.
Yeah, take out the trash while you're at.
Hey, man, I brought my own chair up here.
Yeah. Yes. So, Aaron now has Hawaii Music School. And is it hawaiimusicschool.com?
It's hawaiimusicschool.com, I think. Yeah, I'm certain it's hawaiimusicschool.com.
Oh, we got stands breaking over
Is
here.
that me?
No, the
There's a
Oahu
microphone.
tuner just committed suicide.
Yeah.
Harry,
Oh, it was the clip-on tuner that decided to
Corey
jump.
pushed it. I saw it.
I didn't do it.
Yeah, Corey's always pushing things over.
We'll take a look at the cameras after.
Find out who did it. Instant replay. But yeah, man, hawaiimusicschool.com, and we're kind of lucky to get that name. I actually got Hawaii Music School from Andrew because he had it on a sign, and I just didn't want to pay for another sign. So.
Yeah, well, we started that lessons program with Todd Adamski, and at the time, Aaron was a great player and was really reluctant to teach. I mean, I say great player, but you've always approached things in a really humble way that you would never say that about yourself. But, you were definitely by far good enough to teach students how to play. And I don't know, what was it that kind of, he had to really, he almost had to schedule a lesson, right? And then,
you guys tricked me. You guys, because remember, Todd had said something he's like, oh, we're going to have you teach the ukulele. And I'm like, dude, I don't even play the ukulele. And he was like, yeah, you do. You play it really well. And I was like,
Oh, at the time, I was like, I don't play it right now.
Yeah.
I've played it for many years.
yeah, it wasn't my main instrument at the time. And Todd had told me that he was going to have me teach. And I thought he was joking, so I kind of laughed it off. But then I come in one day, and Todd comes up to me. He's like, hey, your student is here, bro. And I was like, yeah, whatever, Todd. He goes, no, for real, bro. I'm like, Todd, I don't even own an ukulele. And he grabs one off of the wall. He's like,
Now you do.
he's like, go. So I went, and I taught this kid a lesson. I come back, and I was like, yeah, well, that didn't go as bad as I thought. And he goes, well, good, because there's another one right here. And I told Andrew, I was like, you knew about this? And he's like,
we knew we just had to throw you in the water because we knew you could do it, right? It's not like we would schedule those things, and people are paying money for lessons, so I'm glad that we did, though, because you got a real knack for it. And we have a regular customer, Dan, who's got a son, Xavier, that took some little mini lessons at the store there in town, right, Corey?
Yeah.
And,
And shout out to them if they're watching.
Dan and Xavier.
Dan and Zave.
But I mentioned it because Dan was telling me that how once Xavier found you and took some lessons, it just things started clicking, and he, so you definitely have an approach that inspires people. So I'm glad that you're still doing it.
I really think a lot of that is Todd Adamski, though. You guys remember, man. He always had a really different way of looking at things. It was kind of he didn't see the instrument or music in the same way as the rest of us. I remember him telling me, he had a philosophy for everything.
He was just a genius in himself.
Dude,
So.
the guy told me one time that I ate pizza wrong. Because he was like, he goes, which part do you taste the pizza with? I said, well, my tongue. He goes, and what's the best part of the pizza? I said, well, the cheese. And he goes, yeah, so turn them upside down. But he had a philosophy for everything, and his approach to music was very, very calculated. It's like he thought about everything he did, and it forced me to think about everything that I was teaching. Because he would ask the question, and I was like,
Yeah, but prior to that, you already had like a background in music theory and...
yeah, but not on the level that, like, you know, on paper. It was like an on paper thing. Because I mean, I went to school for music and stuff like that, and then I dropped out after like 2 semesters. But other than that, it was, you know, pretty much the lessons were all from Todd, like just the stuff that he would tell me. And he told me, he was like, you already know all this stuff, so I'm just going to show you how to teach it. And so that kind of is the way I started getting, you know, to be a teacher.
You were one of my first teachers.
Yeah, but like Zave, you were just a natural talent. I gave this guy an Yngwie Malmsteen CD, and like,
Rising Force.
Because Corey was playing Metallica. He was playing like all this Metallica stuff, and he would come over.
You gave me the Metallica CD too, Master of Puppets.
Yeah, Master
right?
of Puppets.
Yeah.
How old were you guys at this time?
I was like
4.
freshman in high school
Yeah, you were like
when I
14,
really started.
13 or 14.
Yeah. Some good times.
And you guys were neighbors.
Yep.
He lived like, my apartment was here, and his was literally like
If I looked out
there.
my bedroom window, I'm like, hey.
Yep.
This.
Like you could hear Corey yelling. I mean,
Oh no, you
Corey's
can hear me
dad
getting yelled
yelling
at.
at.
I could hear
Every day.
Uncle Sean terrorizing Corey. And it was just stuff like, hey boy, turn that down.
Or play it right.
Oh, remember that time? Oh man! So he's learning how to play Crazy Train. His dad comes in. He's like, "Boy, you butchering that Aussie lick. What the hell you doing?" He shows him how to play it, and he like plays it note for note, like just one time. He goes like that. Do it right, and he hands him back the guitar.
He plays it. I'm like, what? Can you do it again? Like this. I'm like, turn off the amp.
Yeah, he hands him back the
away.
guitar. So he walks out, and Corey starts practicing it, but he turns the amp off. And his dad comes back in, and he's like, "Bro, what I told you? Turn that down. That stuff is too loud." And then
Dad,
he like
it's off.
slams the door, and like Corey's like, "It's not even on."
I think it was. I was playing it on the computer because I was playing it with the song.
Yeah.
And like I played it, and then the speakers were
Did he
loud. I guess.
Did he tell you that it was still wrong when the song was playing?
Oh, amongst other things, yes.
But do you think that was like the fire that you had to go through to get this good?
That was the fire that I avoided.
He did. He avoided them like the plague. But like, I mean, it was one of those things where the apple didn't far fall from the tree, man. I don't know if anybody out there knows, but like Corey's dad is like one of the most phenomenal musicians I've ever met in my life, and Corey has like, you know, become the same level as his dad now, and so it's
I don't know. I think it takes a level of craziness to I don't think I'm there yet, but
18 hours a day, sitting in a room playing.
oh yeah, and you had to endure that torture also from, but then it wasn't in the same house. You were just like,
Yeah.
Oh, what do you mean?
Oh, we could hear you. We could hear you.
yeah, they could hear me practicing every day for 8 hours.
No, I could always tell Aaron was really proud of you, just for being, you know, that protege that actually could shred some of those licks that are so hard.
It was mind blowing. Like, okay, so when he started playing, I gave him the Yngwie CD, and it was like in a month he could play like one of the licks from one of the songs, and then in like I think it was like another month he could kind of do the fast part, but he would do it slow. And a month after that, he could play the whole CD note for note in time, and I was just like, "What the hell happened?" Like,
No, my dad, he showed me. That was the first time I've ever. He didn't know the name of it. It was the harmonic minor scale.
the Yngwie scale.
And after he taught me that, I was like, wait, that's in every single song. and it's just regurgitated. And no, nothing. I'm not saying anything bad about Yngwie Malmsteen. And that was one of the reasons why I was playing, shred neoclassical music, and through that is how I guess I got better. I mean, I don't think I can play that anymore.
With time, you can be as tasteful as you want, But when you're young and you got all that energy, it's like
I want to play every note in the world.
Yeah.
It was like Blitzkrieg. In fact, that was the name of one of the songs.
That was one of my favorite songs.
Dude. But yeah, Corey could play at light speed with like no mistakes in there, and it was just like it was mind blowing. And I told him, I was like, "How'd you get that good?" He goes, "Well, if I make a mistake, my dad's gonna kill me." So.
Oh, see,
he's gonna make me turn off my amp.
It's funny, like what Feng Yi's dad. It's like, there's some sort of bribery in there, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's got to be a carrot or a stick, something to kind of get you going.
It's definitely the stick.
You can tie the carrot to the end of the stick, or you can just use the stick.
Just get hit by the stick.
That's what it was. It was definitely the stick, not the carrot.
But it was through you that I met, that you brought around Corey. But I remember meeting you. This must have been 15 years or more.
Jeez, it was longer than that, man. It was almost 20 years ago.
Well, I don't remember when we exactly first met, but I do remember you coming to the shop. So first we had the shop when it was upstairs from Ko'olau.
Yeah.
Were you there when it was still Ko'olau on the bottom level?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, but I remember it was after that when Ko'olau moved to Wahiwa and we took over the whole warehouse where they were there in Kaneohe. So Aaron would come by and he had already sold a couple guitars like without ever being on the books by just hanging out, and his enthusiasm for gear was just like electric. I mean, it's infectious. It's like people would come in, and after a few guitars, I'm like, maybe you should get paid for this.
Well, he had this shop, and they had the best stuff on the island, and it was like this hole in the wall that you almost felt special, like not. You knew about it, like, oh, I know where this place is. And because everybody knew Island Guitars, everybody knew Dan's and all these other places, but your store was actually
there's something to say about the hole in the wall that people stumble upon, like once they found that place, most people left with something because
they drove all the way to Kaneohe from wherever they were from. So.
Yeah. And I mean, we of course gave good prices, but we still give good prices and stuff.
Since I was 15, all of my instruments came from you way before I worked for you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
The first guitar was from that shop in Kaneohe.
Well, his whole thing was like the reason that I really like vibed with Andrew was because he was the one that sold me a guitar on like I could make payments. I was like, what?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I wanted to see you get what you wanted to, and then you custom ordered a G&L, right?
Yeah. Well, that's always been your thing though. Like you've always kind of wanted to serve your customer, and that's why you're the best at what you do. Because I mean, I think in large part it's just your heart to be like that kind of guy, to help people out. You love seeing people get what they want, and I think a lot of us kind of vibed on that. And when we started working here in Wahiwa, that became the theme, especially with Todd, because Todd was such a great people person, and he was like Wahiwa's favorite son, so everybody knew Todd. They all came in the store, and
he was extremely talented, and he pulled the most tone out of an instrument you could.
Dude,
he got that wet funk out of an electric guitar. He got that fullness out of a steel string, and it's like he was a big part of my inspiration, and that's kind of you to say. I don't feel entirely unique. I feel like what makes us unique is what we are as a whole over here, the group that we have. And for years you managed the store up there in Haleiwa as well, and helped us get going with that. And I feel very thankful when I think back on the memories we have. Like, I think that first G&L you bought for me was also the one that you fell over on during at my birthday party.
Yeah, I still got the scar from it. Busted me in the face.
We were jamming.
Did it hit your head?
So what? Yeah. Like Aj was on drums and I jumped on and I was playing bass, and it was just like almost the beginning of the first song too, maybe halfway through. And what had you just drank a ton that night? Huh?
Okay, so Jen's brother was working the bar, and
oh yeah, Alan
was working the bar, and so I tell him, I'm like, make me a Texas tea. He's like, well, what the hell's in that? So like I tell him what's in it, right? And so he just like pours all this stuff in there. And Texas tea, you're supposed to do it like a shot, even though it's a big drink, you know. So, but I'm a big dude, you know. I probably should have eaten before this, but you know, no regrets. That's the first time I met Tavana too. So like actually talked to him, and I was talking with.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So yeah, Vonster's watching this too. He'd probably be like, I remember that dumbass. But like, so I'm like shooting these things back. And it's like, I don't know how many. I must have had like 8 of these things, and each of them has like 7 or 8 shots in them.
And it's straight up alcohol, like
and
Long Island.
Yeah, it's just
it was
another version of Long Island.
Within an hour, because we weren't even really starting the party yet.
It's aggressive.
And so all I remember is I'm standing there, and Todd is standing next to me, and he looks at me. He goes, "Oh, brother, you don't look so good." And the next thing you know, I'm looking at the sky. And I realized I'm on my back.
I know, it was just like...
And then Todd goes, you bleeding. Oh, crap. Get up. I'm like, it's all good. It's all good.
I remember the first thing you were concerned about was the guitar. Like, oh, no.
That's a musician right there.
Well, dude, I didn't even wash the blood off of that thing for like years.
Well, for what it's worth, I've never seen you do that other than that one time. But you know, I
was fighting with my wife or something, but she wasn't my wife at the time.
If you think about it, like nowadays, if that happened in this day and age, there would have been 3 cell phones capturing.
Oh man,
hilarious,
dude! Okay, so looking back on like all the stupid stuff we've done, don't you wish that somebody would have had a cell phone back then?
Hell yeah.
I was thinking about it, and I was like, there is something to be said though for the embellishment that memory provides. If you had it on camera, some of those little details that kind of develop themselves over the years that
probably would have
been. That one pretty much happened like that. Like,
and then there's the ones where you're just like verbatim, you don't even need to touch it.
I mean, I was so drunk that like literally I just saw the world go like this.
Like it just was like a screen that just rotated.
You didn't move. The whole world.
The whole world moved.
The world rotated around me.
The world rotated around me, and I was flat on my back, and I was like, and then Todd's like, "Dude, you're bleeding." I was like, "Is my guitar okay?" He's like, "Never mind the guitar." He's like trying to pick me up, and Andrew comes over, and he's like, just they kept playing.
Yeah. We just like, don't stop the groove. Yeah, Aaron's on his back, but no,
I think I was still playing.
Didn't know if you were just gonna go down there for a little shred session on your back.
So I was doing the what is it? Angus Young used to do that thing.
Where and you crawl around and you
crawl around, but there was no crawling. There was
so rock and roll.
Dude.
I was thinking about the other day though, coming up the stairs, how many times we've had an instrument in our hands and we trip or something. Instinctually, it's like holding a baby. The instrument is fine, but we've all gotten jacked up.
Dude.
Yeah.
You just like make a shell around it. It's like the instrument's fine, but
was it me or was it somebody else
that
had that kamaka back at the Wahiwa store on the top and like fell off of a chair? It was me, right? Like trying to hang it, I'm like standing on a chair that's not. And okay, if you look like me, don't ever stand on a chair.
Don't blame it.
Never.
That chair was structurally.
That chair was bound to break.
Dude, it was not meant for anybody over 250 to stand on. And I was at the time I was like pushing it. Now I'm way over that, but like at that time it was like not happening. And
it fell off and it hit like
it like bounced off like 4
like Plinko.
Yeah. It's like, and I look back and Andrew just has this look on his face like, and I still remember exactly what you said. You were like, I'm going home.
Oh, really?
And you took the phone with you. So it's like,
Oh, yeah, I'll do that sometimes. For today, I was thinking, like, in terms of lessons and things that you can show people, you know, I try to think of, like, I mean, the discussions are a lot of fun and stuff, too, but I like to throw in some things that, you know, people can take away.
well, here, let's look at something that Todd taught me.
Perfect,
So,
yeah.
These two strings are tuned to a fourth. And these two are a third, and these two are a fourth. So, well, I've got a low G here. But looking at that means that these two strings are going to have parallel lines. And Todd always looked at things in pictures. I don't know if you remember that. Like, it was always a picture for something. So if this is my root note, that's the 1. Right underneath the 1 is going to be a 4 because it's tuned to a fourth, right? So 1, 4, 2, 5, 3, 6. And Todd always called the 4, 7 the crooked. So where 3 is, 4 is right next to it, and it looks crooked. So we have 1, 4, 2, 5, 3, 6, 4, 7. And then now it goes backwards, right? Because that's 1 and 5. So you got 1, 5, 2, 6, 3, 7, and then 7 is next to 1 and 3 is next to 4.
Wow.
So-
You just blew my mind.
So he would always say 1, 2, 3, crooked, 1, 2, 3, cluster. So if you're looking at the scale, if you're ever lost and you don't know where you're at, wherever the 1 is, you can go and have that picture. From 2, from 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and you're back at 1. And so you never get lost, and you can find anything on there. And if you take it to these strings, like say if we're here, and you know this is say that's a 5, right? So whatever this is, my 5 chord, right? So in this case, this would be what, G sharp. So 5 chord, I have that shape. And then if it's a minor, right, for 6, and 7 is diminished, and then 1 is major. So as long as you know the shape that goes to the root note, you can play everything on the neck. And Todd taught me that in like 5 minutes, and I was like, what the hell? But if you can't follow that,
Oh, that's a lot to unravel.
No, but if you put that
put
on
a
a video
lot.
and you watch it a few times, like,
oh yeah, like,
That's-
well, you can watch this back and just look
Yeah.
at it, see wherever this is, and it's all over the fretboard.
So he showed it in the F, you know, in the key of F, right? Or at
It was on the
first.
guitar, so
No, but the first
yeah, it showed
part,
in F.
right?
That's one thing I
so
really like
it's
about
interesting
Uncle
though
Todd.
that the correlation, you know, both being fourth with the say G and C if you're in regular tuning, and the E and the A.
Yeah.
It's just those two middle strings that have the different
And so the only
relationship.
difference, say this is my 1, right? Say C is 1. All we're going to do is make it crooked. So, right? And then the 4, so we got 1, 2, 3. We're going to make it more crooked. 1, 2, 3, cluster. And so it's the same thing. So it's just offset by 1 fret because
Oh, yeah,
3 and
'cause
4 is 1 fret
If
away.
you look at it in intervals, right? It's
Yeah, exactly. And he said that without saying
Anything really
intervals.
technical,
Yeah,
right?
he was very good at speaking anybody's language.
And he used to put a lot of things into perspective.
Right.
And he's like, "Oh, do you know what you're doing there?" I'm like, "I don't know what I'm doing anywhere." But he's like, "You know, well, anyways, this is this and this is that." I'm like, "Holy crap!"
Do you
Just
remember?
from in 3 seconds.
Do you remember when he used to like write all that stuff and make you play it because he couldn't play it fast enough? But he was like, "I gotta make Corey play it."
But then I didn't know how to read any of it, so he'd just be like, "Play this."
Yeah, he would
But then
show
at this
Corey,
speed-
and but play it way faster.
I'm gonna put my brain in your body.
I remember that one time with Gilbert. Remember when Gilbert used to teach?
Yeah.
Oh man, Gilbert is
Oh, he's such a beast.
Amazing jazz guitar player. So unreal. And he's sitting there, and he's playing this Peter Bernstein tune. And Corey is like sitting down. Me and Todd are behind the desk, and this is what would happen. Like Andrew shouldn't be hearing this now because like we're like wasting his money by like standing around doing nothing. But me and Todd were watching Corey watch Gilbert. So, we're standing behind there, and Corey is like watching Gilbert. He's kind of sitting at that computer because remember you were doing like editing or something for us. I forget what it was.
Oh, that was probably the very first
website.
Yeah.
Website. Yeah.
He was like doing the website, and he's like watching Gilbert, and Gilbert is playing something, and he hangs the guitar back on because he has a lesson. So he goes to his lesson, and Todd goes, watch him. Corey goes over, picks up the same guitar, plugs into the same amp, starts playing, and he's playing exactly what Gilbert was playing. And Gilbert like walked back in, and Corey didn't notice. And Gilbert goes, oh, he knows Peter Bernstein stuff? And Todd goes, no. He was listening to you play. And Gilbert goes, bullshit. Nobody can learn that like that. And then he goes, oh, he got my mistake. He played my mistake. I was like, yep, there you go. See?
That's when I was...
the recorder.
I don't know anything about jazz. And I knew Gilbert was this monstrous jazz guitarist, right? So I would try to copy all the things he did.
Dude, that's crazy, though.
How do you
that's like
hear it and just play it back?
No, that's like if someone was trying to trick you, they'd throw something in there, but he played the mistake.
Todd would. That's why Todd was
it.
like, he's a recorder, bro. I go, what you mean? He goes, he can hear something, and then he can rewind them and slow them down in his brain. And I was like, huh. And I watched.
Now, I don't know if I can rewind it.
Or he can loop it. He can
it's
definitely loop
interesting
it.
though how like with people's natural talents, sometimes they don't try as hard with like the understanding. The way Corey still to the stage, like I don't know what I'm doing. It's
you do though because you said you used to, like even with like you were watching those Malmsteen like VHSs, right? Yeah. And you basically your way of learning was watch it. He's not slowing it down even when he says he is. He's playing it Yngwie speed. So you just watch it and you'd have to rewatch it. So you were still like training yourself to just kind of like take it in and then execute it.
Oh yeah.
So like I know you're modest about it, but you put a lot of time in.
At that time I didn't have any background, so I was like literally trying to copy everything you did, and it did. Maybe that played a part in why I could just copy things, because it's how I learned.
Well, I remember for a long time Corey used to tell me all the time that he felt like insecure about like his own playing because he felt like he was always just copying somebody else. He didn't know what he sounded like. And then I remember like trying to like come up with an answer for him because I wanted to be able to help. But like, remember what Todd told you? He's like, brah, take some of this, smash them together. That's Corey, because only you can play all that crap. So, and it just became his thing. And I think the Tommy Emmanuel CD might have helped too. So,
oh yeah, that DVD was on loop forever in the store.
Well, remember I gave you the CD like years before that, though.
Yeah, and then we were selling the DVD at this shop.
You used to just sit there on our time and just.
I didn't watch that.
Dude, we all did that. Come on, let's not. Lie.
I think I swear everybody in this organization has more fun than me, but I love you guys anyway.
Come on, you had some fun too.
Yeah, I do. I really loved it when we had the drums and everything,
I wasn't on the clock, but whenever I started working there when we had the same store, partially because I just had to get in there crazy early to try and get everything done before Zach started helping out and everything. It was just me and I was stressed out. But after the first few months, I would go at like 5:30 in the morning and I'd walk in there and I'd go back behind the kit or I'd plug into one of the orange amps. I'd just make a ton of noise for 30 minutes and then to work, but
it was fun.
You guys remember when we used to get like so stressed out working and stuff, like afterwards we just had like epic jams?
Oh yeah,
like on all Andrew's new stuff that we're trying to sell.
Just got to change the heads on that again.
Couldn't say nothing though because the boss was there, so he was like sitting there playing the bass.
I was enjoying it too, but
hey, plug it in and let's have at it.
I mean, you only live once. It's like if we're surviving, it's all good. We try to have some fun.
Man,
if you're selling candy, you gotta have sweets once in a while.
Well, you know what though, we've had some epic players as like employees at the store. I mean, like Corey, Todd, Aj.
Somebody
J.
called me
Keys,
today and
Mike
asked
Love.
if Mike Love would play their birthday party. I'm like,
Dude,
you think
he's playing festivals.
He's
now.
busy.
I mean, it's
Sorry,
like,
he's busy.
Try to hit him up. I don't know. You know.
I called Mike the other day to like help me do my. I was trying to figure out how to use my looper, and be able to separate the guitar and the vocal. I couldn't for the life of me figure this out, and so Mike he calls me back and he walks me through step by step. He must have been on the phone with me for like an hour trying to explain it. Like, he's just such a gracious person. Mike is, dude. Mike
It's
is
in his
awesome.
name.
Dude.
He's straight from the heart.
Exactly. The name fits him, Mike Love. So
He'd go out of his way to drive me home when my car was broken, just to drop me off. I was like, yeah, he's just nice. He is love.
and one hell of a musician, man. I mean, like,
Oh yeah.
the guy's played some solos that just kept me up for days. Like, dude.
I don't
And
know if I ever
what's
told.
amazing is the growth that we even
Yes.
saw within our, within that period. And I knew Mike from like over 20 years ago, and just to see even vocally, like, because he would constantly work on stuff, and it's a testament to like getting there. Like when I first met him, he was, playing everything from Hendrix to Bob Marley stuff, and starting to write songs. But in terms of songwriting, in terms of vocal ability, in terms of like guitar ability, versatility, and the effects with him is a whole nother level.
Oh, man.
Like he goes further than almost anybody you'll find anywhere in music. There's like 2 layers of his, his effects pedals. And it's like all the pedals are hooked up to other pedals, and he's had, these custom pedal makers make him the proper switches to be able to do all the things that he wants to do with his vocals and
Or
guitar.
even his rack, he had to basically custom design that just to work with the mad scientist layout he
And
had.
it evolves, it just continues to evolve as time has gone on.
I remember looking at it at one of his gigs, and I was like, "What is going on here?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, this is just that, and that." And I was like,
Don't say just. Don't say
Yeah.
just
And
that.
I was like, "You're speaking Chinese to me right now."
But all
I have
that
no idea what you're
stuff
saying.
is why once he gets going, it's like you feel like you're on drugs or something, and it's like super psychedelic.
Anybody that because I remember there was a while ago we had somebody it was a one of those guys say something about him on like a YouTube video or something. They had said something. Somebody had said something about Mike not being talented because he's got all these effects. I can't even do that stuff with my hands.
Yeah.
like how would you? And he's doing that with his feet while he's playing the guitar, while he's singing. Yeah, you do that. You tell me he's not talented.
And then
It's
sing
my
on
butt,
top
man.
of it like he does.
No, he can just pick up a guitar though. I
Yeah.
mean, he doesn't
Yeah.
need all the effects. Like his songs can be broken down to their raw form, and they're great
Oh.
songs.
Mike-
all that stuff is just icing on the cake,
Yeah,
It's a lot of icing.
I've probably working with Mike in Haliva. You know what? That to me was like probably my favorite times was Fridays.
Yeah,
because Mike
hell
would
yeah.
work on Friday, and about an hour before his gig, I'd stay late on Fridays so I could listen to Mike warm up, and so he would sit there and he'd play through his set with just an acoustic guitar, and I think I got some of the best shows ever with just Mike and a guitar. None of the effects and stuff like that. But then you go see him live, and he's got all that stuff. It's like it doesn't take away anything. It adds to it. He just gets better and better. The guy's like just the most incredible. He's probably Hawaii's best kept secret, I think.
He's
So-
getting out. He's not much of a secret anymore. But
Everybody knows him now. Like, dude,
Yeah, it's insane.
everybody plays
It's like
those
a bottle
barefoot
of
buttons
scotch.
because of it.
Yeah. Just gets better with age.
It was kind of crazy when I started working here because I was dropped in from working for Mike, but there wasn't, none of us were any crazy players or anything, and I came working here. I was like, what the heck? I gotta start practicing.
No,
I
but
took-
you know what blew our minds though was your work ethic, because we're a bunch of musicians that were just lazy bastards and joking.
John was calling me a robot because I wouldn't take a lunch break.
Dude,
It's
he
like,
would just work the whole time. It was like we
once
used
in a
to-
while, there's like somebody that comes in and just sets a new precedent. Like, oh, I didn't know that was that ethic was
That's
still
how
around.
Noah was,
this
right?
dude's
Noah-
neurotic.
Remember when he
Noah?
cleaned the back? he was so pissed at Andrew because he came in. Remember, like you told him to come do the do all the repairs that we didn't. we had like what looked like 2 months worth of repairs. He did all the repairs within like a couple of hours, and he walks into the back room. He's like, "What is this crap?" And he just starts cleaning up, and he like just cleaned that whole back area, and then he's like leaving. He's like, "Tell Andrew, I'll tell him how much later." Damn. It's like, bro.
I don't remember that.
I like saying no every day because it's like, oh, okay, that's work ethic.
Dude, that guy's
he would just come in.
Yeah.
Well, Billy is really...
Yeah.
But, like, just having Joe come in, like, because the way we were, I mean, like, I don't think we even had a blueprint for what we were actually supposed to be doing, you know?
No, I don't know. It's like, it's different, this organization. We've had to try to kind of, tighten up some things, but I was building with my brother and my dad, and then started taking instruments to the swap meet, and then it just turned into, okay, I'll get more of this, get more of that. It was a real organic type of thing, and it wasn't some sort of like business, thing that I came to it with like a bank loan and a
business
whole
plan.
idea. Yeah, no, it just kind of turned into what it was. And, I mean, I'm a bit of a hippie type in a way. I don't want to say that.
You're the hardest worker I know, though.
Right,
I
mean, like, I'm very loose with, like, my, people like Joel or John Gonzalez through the years have helped keep this business, like, tight. And I've been able to kind of get better about organizational type things. But, I feel like, I don't know, a bit of an artist in my heart, even though like I'm not as skilled as you guys, in a lot of ways.
Anybody that thinks that Andrew is like being realistic right here hasn't heard George and the Duck Shaker.
Oh, no. It's very realistic. I'm
Andrew's
real about what I am, but
beast on the bass. No. Like he.
I don't even want to ever, have anybody say that. That's just no. But I mean, if you want to say good things about me, I care about my customers like a lot. That's probably my most essential skill in life.
Well, that was I mean, working here, that was like obvious right from the get go too. Like,
gotta take care of the customers.
Any of this, it's a recipe of everybody. So it's like, I don't know. You can't pinpoint any one thing, but I was just, for me coming into it, it was kind of like it was a new experience, but it was awesome too. And pretty inspiring to be around everybody. Corey gave me my first guitar lesson, and it was a Tommy Emmanuel song, and I didn't know who Tommy Emmanuel was. And Corey was teaching me how he was taught, and I did not
pick up anything at all.
Endure
it's
with the same success.
Well, you know what? I get that a lot too. People say the same thing about me because I don't do tabs, but I didn't.
No, but
learn with
the
tabs.
way you teach is like it's just a lot better. You explain things.
I picked up stuff from you talking to customers in the store. Like, I would overhear you, but you would distill it enough that I was like, oh, that's it. Oh, okay.
But I still get the thing, I still get, in fact, the other day I had like an email come from somebody that's on my website that, she was saying like, well, I need tabs. And that's completely understandable because like some people grow up and that's the way they learn is they have to have something written down. But the way I teach is the way I learned. And I never learned with tabs. I don't think I ever like read tabs.
You wrote out tabs at some point for me, a number of times, and I know you can.
I can do it, but it's because I can read music, But like to put it on and like the string and stuff like it, which makes more sense than actually, music notation. It makes more sense because, I can play this note here or here. It's the same note. But like, and very few people have an ear like Corey that they can actually hear the difference of whether it's the fifth fret or open. And so tabs are very helpful for people. But
there's like 3 or 4 different places to catch the same note on a fretted instrument. It's not like piano.
Yeah. So with that being said, I completely understand why some people actually want to have tablature, but it's like, for me, I didn't learn that way. So it would be kind of like, even though I can do it, it would be like, the guy that works on your car for the weekend, that your neighbor trying to like charge mechanic prices. I wouldn't be able to be that guy, you know. I'm just not. I'm like, because I'm not gonna sit there and write out tabs.
It's pretty tedious.
For me to do it, it's even longer because I don't think that way. So, you know, I mean, I don't think I ever play anything the same way twice anyway. So, it's like
there's that too.
Yeah.
Be like, oh, the way you showed it was different when you did it. You know.
That was like every single video like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
But you didn't play it like that. Like, well,
people are so mean on the internet sometimes too. It's like, geez.
Well, I can see where they're coming from.
We're not charging for it.
They want, well, they want information, and you know, it's like, and because there's people out there that do that. Like, I mean, YouTubers are making zillions of dollars. It's like that PewDiePie makes like.
Well, yeah, but that's not. I mean, not any sort of business like what we do.
Well,
you gotta
I mean,
be playing video games or showing toys or something.
Yeah. Dude, that kid that makes the toys or plays with the toys.
Oh,
Ryan.
Yeah,
Ryan's toy review. Why do I know that? Because my kids watch that all the time.
Right, and everybody's kids do. And that guy is like,
he has his own show on Nickelodeon. He has his own toys.
That little boy is set for life. You know,
hopefully he doesn't. It doesn't get to him.
But because there's so much quality stuff online for free now, people expect everything to be like, you know, they expect you to meet their every demand and stuff like that, which is, you know, it's understandable because it's in other.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say unreasonable.
No, it's it's understandable because like think about it, we get conditioned so much to what we do every day.
Yeah.
Right? So
yeah, I mean, then you just expect it. You know, I mean, like a decade ago, when we, you know, when Jeeps and you hooked up and made a DVD, it was like people would buy a DVD to learn. That was a very normal thing. And I mean, some people might still do that.
I still got that DVD.
So it's like somewhere in the middle, like there was just so much information free online that it seems like for somebody like yourself, like you have I mean, it's still happening though. I mean, there's still, you know, people like you with HawaiiMusicSchool.com where you can go on and how do you, is it like you get a little bit free and then you can become a member, or how do you work that?
You go online and I have it's 2-week free trial. And so if you like it, then you can say it's only $20 a month. So it's not a, you know, like if you take private lessons, like I do lessons on Skype and a half-hour lesson is like $35 and hour lesson is like $60. But on this website, you can go on there as much as you want. I mean, I think we have over 100-something videos on there now, and it's only $20 a month, so you can get on there and do that stuff. But again, like I'm not like some of these guys that put up tab and stuff like that. I teach in the way that I play, and I play the way I play because of the way I learned. It's like I remember, it's a very Hawaiian upbringing, you know. I remember it was my Uncle Mike that taught me how to, you know, Uncle Mike, step on your feet if you came outside without shoes on. Yeah. And so my Uncle Mike and my grandpa used to always tell me, you know, the way to learn how to play is, you know, the 3 things, the Hawaiian golden rules, right? So, ho'olohi ka pepeau, listen with your ears. Nana ka maka, watch with your eyes. And the most important one, pa'akava, shut your mouth. So, it sounds like your dad. So,
oh yeah, I mean that those 3 things are deep rooted in my dad too.
And that's the way I remember when I used to come over your house and just drink beer with your dad and try to glean something.
Oh, you would always bring like these craft beers around, and you guys would get pretty toasted and play guitar.
That was
awesome.
Me and his dad would just play guitar and just drink beer, and he'd be, boy, you remember anything I want to show you? Probably not. Okay, I'll see you next week then.
Was it like a lesson type of
No,
thing?
it was just
like a cruise session.
So I
kind
gave him
a mix of both.
Yeah, like I mean, I learned so much from your dad, and I don't think he ever wrote anything out for me at all. Like he tried to get him to write.
If you learn that way, you don't need to have a sheet to, you know. I mean, you are.
Well, I think too, like when there's so much free stuff out there, like when you give away things for free, sometimes people don't realize how valuable it is. If you pay for something, you attach a number to the value. But like, I think being raised like that, because it was the same thing. Like with me growing up, I learned different trades from people in my family or friends. Like I would go and do jobs and be the helper and work with people. But it was like, okay, pay attention. Like we're spending the time to show you something. this is how you do this properly. This is how you frame a wall. This is how you pour concrete. This is how you do drought, whatever. But you value it. So like sitting there and you'd pick up stuff and you probably remember it because you value it more than someone who just like throwing things out there. You're like, okay, I'm going to glean whatever I glean from this, but then internalize it, not just be like, it's always there whenever I need it. That session was like, if you pick one or two things up or you watch someone play and it's like,
I guess so.
It's not recorded.
It's what you love. It's like, I don't remember anything from geometry or any of the stuff where you had to write it all out and stuff. So retention doesn't necessarily equate with being able to do it at the time.
Yeah.
If you care about it, then and those things, you're probably laying in bed at night just rolling over some of Uncle Sean's licks in your head. It's like it sits with you, and hopefully as people watch these type of episodes and stuff, and we got people like you and Corey and Clay and all the different people that come through, it is kind of like even though we don't spell it all out, we're not going onto Guitar Pro software and getting the tabs for you guys, it's still hopefully sinks in and you take things away from it, even if you only half understood what Aaron was explaining earlier, that half might
or you might get it later, but the way you explained it could be better than whatever if they go and try and look it up, someone else could be trying to break that thing down and spend 20 minutes overcomplicating it.
Well, see, the thing is, and I think that's where, I love the idea of free information. Free information is great. It's online, and the only problem with it is, though, that there's no order to it.
Yeah.
And so, like, I think a lot of guys go on there, and they'll learn how to play something. They'll get it down, they can finger it, they can play it, and then they go to jam session, and it's like, oh, I don't know that song. It's like, but dude, you can play the hell out of that thing, but I don't know that song. It's like, like the piano players. Most piano players, if you don't give them sheet music, they have no idea how to jam. And so I think it's an essential thing.
That's when that's usually taught more traditionally. Like, people don't just start with piano jamming. Like, if people are starting their kids on a piano, they want them to learn properly and stuff. So like, you learn these classical pieces and you get your hand slapped with a ruler if you play but it's like, put them in a jam session. How do you do then? It's like, it's a different thing, right?
I think that was the other thing too that kind of really hit me from Todd, because that's an Adamskiism right there. That's my word.
I like that
Todd stuff, because Todd told me once, he goes, "You can read music, Aaron." I go, "Oh, yeah, I can read music," and he was like, "Oh yeah, how has that helped you?" And I said, "Well, like, when I don't know how to do something, I can go get the sheet music for it and just play it." And he goes, "Oh, okay." He goes, when somebody's showing you something, do you notate it down and write it in music? And I was like, not really. And then he asked me, he goes, "When did you learn to read music?" And I told him, I said, "Well, when I started getting interested in it and I found out that I couldn't figure out jazz licks by myself. So I would, I learned how to read music so I could read jazz charts." And he told me, he goes, "Okay, that's the right way to learn that." And I was like, "Well, what do you mean by that?" And he says, "When you're a kid and you start talking, your parents don't stick a book in your face. And they don't tell you, like, okay, this is A, this is B." They don't do that right away. They let you learn the language first, and then from there, they kind of...
Yeah, it's not like you're not trying to tell a 3-year-old, like, "Oh, your grammar is off. This goes,
Right.
it's a proper noun."
Remember that Victor
that's
Wooten
Kid would
book?
never talk
yeah.
again.
What were you talking about?
The Victor Wooten book. The music
yes.
lesson. That he touched on that too, didn't he?
Ah, yeah. I haven't read that in years, but that book was golden.
Dude.
What's it called?
Music Lesson.
By
Victor
Victor Wooten.
Yeah, and it's kind of told in a story type of way.
You told me about that a long time ago.
Oh, man.
Great book.
I bought a
Great
bunch of them and carried them in the store at the time. But, dude, Victor Wooten, that guy, it's not even just his playing. It's like...
His philosophy on life.
It is a
man.
philosophy. It's a really deep book called Music Lesson. So if any of you guys out there want to a good easy read. It's kind of a short book. It's a very easy read, but it's got some real gems in it.
And it's like in a story form, so it's almost like you're reading like a fiction. So that, it might be fiction. I don't know if Victor was like, if that guy was real or what. And Victor doesn't even say if it was.
Oh, it's not super technical or anything. It's just.
I mean,
it's like
you know,
a story.
There's still things in there that, as a musician, and no matter what instrument you play, you come away from it kind of like, wow, that's a different way to look at it.
Oh, the music lesson, a spiritual search for growth through music. You can find it on Amazon. Download it on your Kindle, and you can.
I remember one of the lines was, "You're only a half step away from a right note." You know?
Right, exactly.
But
and he's dead on that.
But what you were talking about a second ago with, you know, that's a really interesting concept that you don't. I think what you were saying, like, you don't start little kids trying to learn how to read.
Yeah.
It's like that with music. So like when you get a new student, and a lot of the beginner books is why I don't like them, because they start you off with like Mary Had a Little Lamb or some BS.
John B.
And you're reading note by note. Okay, so here's a C note, here's an A note, and it's just not. I mean, you want to start talking, you know, like the way that a toddler's starting to learn the words, you know.
You know, the best ukulele book I've seen, and I mean, it's more advanced, of course, but the best ukulele book I've ever seen was Abe's book. Like, dude.
I was about to ask you, because you brought that up like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
I mean,
the jazz book?
Yeah, because it's so bare bones, and the way he lays it out, it's so, it's not hard to understand. He doesn't try to put all this mumbo jumbo in there. Like, all these books are like all filler, and then there's like one thing that you're going to get out of it.
You feel like the most part, it's people like, well, I'm an expert, so I'm going to just flood it with all this vocabulary and all this just unnecessary things, and the people who really just want to like get to the meat of it, just kind of strip all that away, and like, what's the best way someone could absorb it? Yeah. And that's like the best teachers, right?
Yeah. And Abe like does that. He just, in that book, it's so just well laid out. And I mean, aside from being like a fantastic player, he's a great teacher, you know. And so
I think a lot of the people probably publishing are, you know, they're coming at it from another instrument, and you know, they know, like, you know, they've been into teaching like guitar or whatever. So it's good with Abe. He's like he's been, you know, serious ukulele man for the last 15 years or so. But
on the drums though,
he's insane.
That's like one of 10 instruments that he plays, right?
Vibraphone.
Vibes, man. Oh, he's a killer vibe player too, man. That guy's just too talented. Yeah,
I agree.
He's one of those.
Yeah, it's like, well, you know, I can say this because I'm half Filipino, so don't like say I'm racist or nothing. But us Filipinos, when we're like, they make you learn piano. You take piano lessons. Blink, 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 blink. It's all this crap. You don't want to be there, but like, you know, you have to. So from a very young age, you got music in the house. You're always listening to it. And I come from a pretty big family of musicians too, so I'm sure that's the same way it was with Abe. He probably, you know, around all those Filipinos, guaranteed there was music. So it's one of those things.
What was your family like?
Well, my uncle was a professional musician. My grandma was a hula dancer. My mom played piano. There was always music in the house. Like, I don't think I could remember any time you could come over to my grandma's house where there wasn't music playing. Like, there was always. I think that's how come I got so into, like, you know, Hawaiian music. That stuff like got stuck in my head, and I hated that stuff when I was a kid. I was like, man, and that's how come I started playing, like, you know, rock guitar and all that crap, because like I couldn't stand the sound of Hawaiian music. And when I moved to the mainland, it's like it's like all I wanted to hear was Hawaiian music.
That's the same thing with Craig, right? That's how he found his way back to the ukulele. Yeah.
That's
just being away.
You don't appreciate it until it's gone, because it's already in you. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't born here, but I was a little kid. But I still, one of the first CDs I ever had, somehow I went up with a Crater Boys CD. That was the first CD I ever had, and I would sit on the bus, and I listened to that over and over. I even had a Peehee Pickers album. It was that and Crater Boys. Those are the 2 CDs I had, and I would drill them over and over. Then a Sunday Manoa, so those songs are still like drilled in me too. And then I grew up and I was like, I want to listen to rock and all this stuff. And then later it's away for a while and you're like, oh man, I actually really appreciate it. I just never really take it for granted a little bit.
I think when it really hit me, because I had to learn slack key guitar. Uncle Mike made me learn slack before I learned regular guitar. So I think when it really hit home for me was when I was gone, and like I only had an acoustic guitar, so I would be like, you know, playing on it and stuff. So I would play more Hawaiian music because it was like a homesick thing, you know. So you drink shitty beer, and so the same like how it is back home. Over here, we drink shitty beer all the time and stuff. So it was like I would like sit around and play music, and you know, eat saimin, which in the mainland it's ramen. It's just crap.
Top ramen.
Top ramen. Maruchan.
Maruchan.
But you know what? Where I lived in Seattle,
Was it a delicacy?
Dude, well, you know what though? They were selling it for like 30 cents a pack.
Yeah.
So I would stock up. That was like I lived off of that. And Keystone Light, because that was the cheapest beer they had. And
You know what? Keystone Light's not that bad.
Ooh.
It's
The ramen
it's
packet's
also not that great,
bad.
but
Yeah, no, I mean, when I had my first place in Kailua, I lived on ramen. I mean,
Dude, elementary school, I'd pull it out dry,
And just
pour
eat
the
it.
powder
pour the
on
powder
it, and
out,
just
eat it. Yeah,
that's it.
raw.
My parents
salmon.
loved it. It was the cheapest
Here's
lunch
a-
you could make.
ramen powder hack. Put
Yeah.
it on popcorn.
Really?
Get that powder, put it on popcorn, shake it up.
Oh,
Where'd you learn that? Dude, I'm gonna try that now.
It was who told me that? I forget. It was a long time ago.
Do you pop it with the pop?
No, you just put it on after, like after, like right.
Oh, like
after.
a seasoning. Like
Yeah.
on top. Just okay. I see.
Do a kettle corn. It's sweet and
Savory.
not bad.
I'd kill you.
You know, popcorn is one of those things that like it
High in
always
fiber.
smells better than it tastes.
Oh yeah.
There's a fine line between you're gonna break your tooth on a kernel or half of it is burnt.
I just don't like the butter film.
Yeah,
Like greasy.
Oh no, I'm not with
stuff
the
in your
butter.
mouth. The residue that's left in your mouth is. Just
Oh, I wanted to mention earlier, kind of off topic, but we were talking about John. We Andrew made a grilled cheese sandwich. So John placed an order for a set of UVT tuners, and it says, we have the options. Put it on a uke, and he says, no need, brah. And on the bottom it says, just ship it in a grilled cheese sandwich.
They were
and-
telling you that right
Andrew
before
brought
you
a
started.
grilled cheese
Yeah.
sandwich.
Oh, it's on
And we
Instagram.
emailed
We put the photo up.
Is John never gonna come back to Hawaii to
Ah,
visit?
man.
I mean,
He
come on.
came back once. He came back and we hung out. We went somewhere, and John is a large part of how the first time when I discovered why I can't eat avocados, because John. Oh, I shouldn't say this. Like if Jeannie's watching, but John always like cheats and eats regular food when he hangs out with me. And so I had a burrito that had guacamole in it, and then I start getting this. So I'm like spitting out his window. He's like, "Man, what the hell are you doing?" I'm like, I don't know, man. There's something wrong with my throat. He's like, "You're killing the vibe. We're going out to go watch some good music."
I can hear his voice just crystal clear.
Dude, he's
You're killing the vibe.
so John.
Dude, he could boil stuff down. Because I probably
Great teacher.
took lessons from him.
Great
It was
teacher.
I still have because he wrote everything out. I still look at that. It's like he could distill
He
stuff
had a
down really
different
well
way,
too.
kind of looking at things too.
What the hell ever
Yeah.
happened to his book? That
I have
book was.
the last time he came to
Yes.
visit.
Is it the book about chords?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
that
made
was
him
the
give me
best
the-
card book ever. He broke it down. It's like 10 pages.
I'm
Yeah.
still
It's
waiting
got
for that book.
Everything.
No,
Because I remember watching
I got a copy
video.
of it. So
Oh, yeah?
we're talking about John Gonzalez del Solar, just in case, as kind of insider talk here, you know. But he's got fan guitar and ukulele over in
Virginia.
Virginia. So shout
The
out
fan
to John.
district of Richmond fan district.
And the
probably
last
eating
I
that grilled
saw
cheese
from
sandwich
his
right
posts and stuff, he started making some interesting looking
Making
solid
a lot of
bodies.
stuff. He's got that 3D printer and a CNC and stuff.
And he likes to break stuff still. He seems like he's keeping it young through all the years.
He just needs a jumpsuit.
John is like that. Like, to me, his genius is like Zappa level, you know? Like, it's so weird. Like, you don't get it, but, like, once you get it, you're like, holy crap. Like, mind blown.
Well, yeah. I mean, and he kind of had a Mitch Hedberg style, too. Like, just that kind of, like, deadpan humor.
Yeah.
Like, but very witty, different
A
way of
burrito
looking
with
at things.
with a sleeping bag for ground beef.
Dude. You know what the best thing about John was, though? Was his ability to take, like, the most complex thought and just, like, break it down to, like, the most simple form of it. And it would be, like, a one-sentence thing. I can't even, like, give you an example, but, like, he would, like, take the world philosophy and just, boom, one sentence. You know? Like, it's like, wow. Mind-blowing. Dude was just crazy.
He's a genius.
Let's go over some of your uke gear for people, like as far as what you're using at this point.
At this point, well, for ukulele, my favorite ukulele is still my Ko'olau ukulele. That was actually, you got me that. And,
It's the redwood top.
Redwood top. It has Cuban mahogany sides and back.
What do you mean I got you that? Did I give it to you?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, you did. Like, my first ukuleles were you and your dad. Like, both gave me, like, right after that lesson I gave, I think it was like a week later, John walks in and he hands me this uke and I'm like playing it. And John, Andrew's dad, John Kitakis.
See, he might have given it to you.
Oh, I don't know. I think it was you because you were trying to get me in a Ko'olau for like over a year.
Yeah.
And then
I mean, you were playing a pono. It seemed natural.
So it was like your dad just handed me one. It was that the mahogany with the cedar top.
Right, yeah.
And
Hawaiian mahogany back and sides. Redwood top, no?
No, the pono that he gave me.
Oh.
So he gives me this pono, and he's like, "What do you think of this?" And it was like they had just done the new run, and he hands it to me. He goes, "You're the uke guy here. What do you think of this?" I go, "Oh man, this is pretty fantastic." He goes, "Good, it's yours." And he walked out. I was like, "Oh yeah." So big ups to your dad, man. Like John's probably like, you know, one of the guys that inspired me in ukulele just because of like the way he would run pono and stuff. You know, like he wasn't afraid to tell them like it is. And remember how many things that we thought he was crazy about? We were like, dude, that is not a second. He's like, oh, it's hideous. Look at it. It's like stuff that he thinks is a second is like, what? There's nothing wrong with this thing. He's like, oh, there's that thing in the wood there I don't like. So,
I mean, I did the finishing and final setup and all of that for Ko'olau for almost a decade. So it's like when I was in that zone of doing that job, I had to be that level of meticulous, you know, and I, grew in a real appreciation. And he used to like, tell me like, this is the hardest part of the whole thing. Like you can get people in production building the bodies and stuff like that, but finishing and final setup, this is really where, it takes an artist to take it to that level and stuff. So he inspired me a lot in that way. I guess in the years since, after I've just kind of, I don't know, I don't think it's naturally in me to be as particular, you know, but I still, I have the eye for it. It's just on my personal instruments and stuff, for instance, it's not like I could.
No, that's me too.
care.
Like doing setup work, it got homey into looking at it. But for my personal stuff, like the setup is important. But
yeah, sure.
I think,
finish issues and stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, I have like my two main ukes, right? I mean, I always have Joe set them up because I ain't gonna do it. It's like, and I know how to set stuff up. I used to set stuff up for people, but it's like, when you're a mechanic or something, you don't want to work on your own car.
You take it to the guy.
You take it to the dude, and like Joel is like
the dude.
The dude.
he makes everything like just it plays.
Ooh, that feels
just
nice.
the way I like it.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it's
and nice.
having something set up, and I think that's a large part of like why a lot of people quit playing, because they have an instrument that they feel
It's frustrating.
Yeah,
You're
it's
fighting
like,
it.
Yeah, it's like this high action and it's hard to press, or I don't like the way the frets are out here and it's like scratching on my hand. And just having the right instrument. I used to sell ukuleles all the time when I when I was working in the shop, by telling people, if you find something you like, get that one. Don't worry about the price tag or whatever. Just if you find something that you like, just if it feels good and it plays good and you like the sound of it, you'll play it more.
Yeah.
The more you play, the better you get.
Because it can go both ways too,
Yeah.
right? It doesn't necessarily mean like if you like it, doesn't matter what it costs. It could be expensive, but it could be less than they intended to play.
And a lot of times it was that too. I mean, guys would come in the shop and they would want like a real high-end Hawaiian ukulele, and they'd walk out with a pono because the setup on those things are incredible, and they got a truss rod in them.
Yeah.
It's just like,
But even the neck shape and stuff, like
it's
all those
comfortable.
things, they tell them like pick it up. I can't tell you objectively which one you're gonna like.
Yeah.
You got to try it, but the one that you're gonna play is the best one to get.
Dude, I was down at the shop the other day, and those new Kalas, holy crap, man! I mean, they play so well. They feel really good.
Did you try our new exclusive model, the one that we had to make with the spruce top and the mahogany sides and back?
Did you show me that? Was that one of the ones yesterday?
I think it was just a maple when you played.
Oh yeah,
the
the new
cutaway.
maple series are
Dude,
nice.
that maple
They're
was dope.
But
Right?
that new spruce all solid, we have
Oh,
this
yeah.
all solid spruce mahogany back and sides, and they sell with a case for like $2.99. Dude, the tone is
Showing people in the store, I'll show them like the STG and then show them that one for like to get both sides of it. But it's like, yeah, man, and it feels nice. Everyone notices the edge and the
armrest,
neck
yeah.
and everything. But too many people, like if you it's the same thing with anything, but like you get a bad teacher,
Yeah.
they can turn you off to
Yeah.
music. Bad tools can turn you off to it too. So if you got the wrong person giving you that first input and you got the wrong thing, then the whole thing can just feel like, forget it. This isn't for me. I'm not built for it. Too many people email people will come in with whoever's shopping in the store. And I was like, do you play it too? And they're like, no, I'm not built for it. I'm not meant to play. And it's like, well, maybe you just had a bad experience or you're too hard on yourself. But
have you ever encountered somebody, Aaron, that you felt like just couldn't do it? I mean, that they wanted to learn and it's just like something just didn't click.
Well, I mean, with anything, there are like I've encountered people that probably couldn't work with me because they were like they needed something that was written down or something like that. But and I tell everybody it's not for everybody. The way I teach is not for everybody because I learn differently, so I teach differently. But I do feel largely there's no such thing in my personal opinion as like an inability to learn music. I think there may be an inability of the teacher to teach it, but I think that's a lot of what I got from Todd was that like you have to speak their language. You have to kind of get down on their level, and with the tab thing, I don't know if I should be doing it. If I probably should, but it takes up more time for me than it would somebody that learned from tab because they can just write it out like super fast. And then for me, it would like I would have to go into.
It's so hard to like. I don't know. I guess you can get the notes and where you're playing them. It comes more in the timing. That to me, it's just like, oh, that's kind of a.
you look up tabs on the internet. Yeah, the spacing between all of it. If someone can really throw you off, if the way that they wrote the tabs is not laid out cleanly, too.
Even when it's like professional sheet music, there's so much in terms of like the feel that kind of in terms of timing and those sort of things.
Well, see, that's the other thing too, and that's the big problem for me is because tab-wise, I mean, I don't write the tab, I write it in notation. So when I go on like Guitar Pro and stuff, it throws it into the tab however it wants, and then I got to go back and correct it. That's why it takes me so long because I can't think in terms of tab because I'm always thinking about the duration, and so that's one of the things I'm doing at Crowell Elementary over here, and I'm trying to get the kids to learn how to read
you teach the
music.
kids at the local elementary school over here.
So
how often do you do that?
5 days a week, but it's only
Really?
like a couple hours a day. So I'm
that's
not like
awesome.
working my butt off.
So what is there any that you can see the real potential in?
Oh yeah, I mean, well, these kids they're incredible kids. It's a Title I school, so like a lot of the kids come from like underprivileged background and stuff. And the Ukulele Guild has been helping us out a lot. They gave us a whole bunch of ukes, and all the ukes that we had over these old like 1950s kamakas, they went and for free they refurbished the whole thing.
Oh, that's beautiful. So
all of it,
the guild over here, what is it? UGH?
Yeah, UG. And you guys actually supplied the cases for us. You guys, when I came over here, I got a bunch of cases from you guys for the ukes that we got donated. So, thanks for that. The kids really appreciate it. But as far as like the learning of like the reading and stuff, I had to look at it from a different perspective. Like if my uncle were to teach me that, how would he say it? And my uncle was a very profane man, and he would say like a lot of bad words. Like I can't say that here, and I definitely can't say that at school. So what I teach the kids is like for a quarter note to say T, 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 T. For an eighth note would be like boba, 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 boba. And for 16th note, it's Coca-Cola, 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 Coca-Cola. So they can hear that. It's like clapping a beat. Like people can say that. I want to hear your
uncle's versions of those.
Oh man, think of the bad words and just put them into like the syllables, and there you go. So you got
MFer was the 16th notes.
The 16th notes, and it was
sorry. Yeah.
And the first one would probably be like taking a dump. So.
But yeah, I mean, it's like those kind of things that it's like they have the school aspect that there's like math and stuff like that they're already like, oh, okay, oh god, for it to just be another one of these things. Okay, we're gonna learn how to read music.
Oh yeah, they would hate that.
Yeah,
but that's why we make it fun. So we do like take like tea, boba tea, Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola, boba tea. You teach that to a kid, all of a sudden they don't care about like, oh, how I make my hand, because they're trying to do the beat.
Focusing on something else.
They're focusing on the beat. They're not worried about the oh, my finger hurts because I'm not doing this right. They make that part happen.
Gotta make the Coca-Cola.
Yeah, they make that part happen because they want to play that beat, and I think that's the thing.
That reminded me of this one song that it was in place of boba tea and Coca-Cola, it was Kentucky Fried Chicken and a Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
That was from totally something different, but...
I started thinking of a Frank DeLima thing. Going on up with the hunt.
Stuff like that sticks, though,
Yeah,
like they'll remember that, 10 years from now, they'll still like have that lesson in their mind when they're teaching
somebody. I still tell kids, goats can eat anything, because I remember seeing a goat eat a soda can.
Oh, yeah.
So, GCEA, goats can eat anything.
I think good children eat apples.
That's another good.
Bad children eat apples too, though.
Yeah,
let's keep it factual.
This is true. This is true. But you know what? This one though, at the 5th fret, CFAD, cows fart all day. Kids will remember that like that.
Never gonna forget that.
Cows fart all day.
True.
Now you're gonna have to make one for every single string all the way up the fretboard.
Yeah, and then right here at the 7th fret, dogs grow big ears.
Let's do it. Come up with one for every fret, and then we'll make a little picture, and it'll just be like a kid's book.
Oh, flip book for
that
kids.
Would
all right, we'll work on it. Yeah, let's do it.
Wait, no, you can't publish that. We'll cut that out of the podcast. You're giving away the idea.
Inside trading information.
Someone else can do it, but ours will be better.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Go ahead and try it.
You try to come up with cows fart all day, trademark.
Well, that's the thing I liked about your brother.
Big ears.
Like Noah's philosophy to building. He doesn't care who comes in and sees him build. Like he's like,
try it.
Yeah, let me see you do it.
Yeah.
He'll show you exactly what he does, and it's like.
And
no, even with the setup stuff.
Work, yeah.
When I worked for Mike, he didn't want anybody to know the setup stuff. Like it was under wraps. Like half the time, people didn't even know we worked there. Mm-hmm. But when I came to work for Andrew, the first video we ever made was a setup video, and it was setup work revealed. And I was like, wow, this is different. Because
I'm like, come on, this is a lot of work.
It is. That's why I knew that. I was like, Mike, no one's going to go buy hundreds of dollars worth of tools, spend all the time to do this, work on their own instruments to figure it out and make all the mistakes.
But Mike was right. They did. But, I still, don't believe on some level that some people go to the extent that we do. Because it's just impossible.
Yeah, I mean, we do real setups.
There's levels to it.
Well, you guys, so and that's the other thing that I tell people all the time when they ask me where they get so I was working a night job for like, when summertime came and stuff, because I was in school, and it's like, I don't do anything at night anyway. I don't really sleep. So I was like, I might as well go work security, walk around and, do my thing. And so I went and I was working for the security company over there. But I get, me, local guy, Portuguese, talk story with everybody. And so I got to know the people in the office real well. And one of the head of the, I think he's like the general manager or something for this place. His wife, he wanted to get his wife a uke. So I sent him to you guys. They went down there, saw Eli. And now he's having his wife take lessons from me. And so I'm going to be teaching her first lesson on Saturday. So that'd be pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, it's just like, because of what you guys do over there, because of what you do, and the setup, it's so easy for me to tell people, like, hey, man, go over there, and they will get you an instrument that it'll play like butter. And you can't say that about swap meet instruments or, some of these stores in town that just don't do setups and stuff.
Thanks for that, man. And you know what? On the other side of that, too, make sure that our stores stay stocked with some cards that we can hand out for people to, like the way that, Corey
I still forward a ton of people over to
Corey's always in.
Right. No,
in fact,
I mean,
that kid Zave, Corey called me. He's like, hey, man, you gotta teach this kid. Can you get in touch with this guy's dad? And
no, because I knew you could take him to the next level. Me, I don't know what I'm doing. I can't. I'd be like, oh, put your finger there. Oh,
yeah, but you're like arguably the best ukulele player on the face of the planet, and that's like, and it's not even a
area right
it's
here.
not even a joke.
Being a great player and being a great teacher are two different things, And I have a lot of respect for both sides of that, and you with the teaching, Aaron, it's a wonderful thing that you're still staying dedicated to this, helping the kids in the community over there at Kaala, and also opening yourself up to like Skype lessons for more direct help. There's a lot of things you do with like that percussive style. Give us an example of like some of the different rhythmic type styles that you do.
I think so. There's the strumming thing, right? If you look at it, you have that, like everybody knows you can strum down, you can strum up. But like we look at like Kimohasi, right? So a lot of people think he does this, right? They think he goes down, down, up. But that's not what he's doing. He's going up, down, or up, down, down. So
and that little.
And you know why he does that first? Is because you can
hitting
control
your melody notes.
Yeah, you can control what melody you're at, the melody note. And so that's something that's a percussive thing to do that.
I just went back because after last week I was motivated to practice again. But I went back and I was like, wow, where am I going to start? I just typed in right hand technique on YouTube. First thing came up was a Kimohasi workshop, but it was filmed in the store.
Yeah,
so I started watching. I was like,
I remember
all right,
that
it was
workshop.
that strum.
That's where I met Kimo. And he's like my mentor today. And like we just had lunch.
Yeah, so you guys still work together with the guild?
Oh yeah, and Kimo and I, I want to say we alternate buying each other breakfast and stuff. We will go out to eat breakfast because, like,
could use some breakfast right now.
Yeah, we go to like the good places, like we go cafe.
Oh, in town, yeah.
So we go and eat all. I want to say like we buy each other breakfast, but Kimo ends up buying me breakfast for him because he gets the check first. He like grabs it. He's like, "Oh, that's mine." But he is, and you want to talk about a teacher, man. Holy crap, man. Kimohasi is like the guy.
All right, so, just to wrap this one up, you can find Aaron on Facebook, Aaron Crowell, Crowell, and on HawaiiMusicSchool.com. And if you're on the island...
My YouTube page, too, is the Hawaii Music School also.
Yep.
So... And I promise I'm gonna try to put.
Yeah, I know. I would have plugged that, but I haven't seen you putting any stuff up there recently. But
the other day I did a live thing. I went on live for like 4 minutes because I didn't even know how to do it. Me and my friend John, like he's my producer. He's like, hey, let's try a live thing, and he pressed the button by accident, and so we're live. And like people, like I'm over here and I'm like saying like stuff like bastard and all this kind of stuff, and then who's watching? All the kids.
Oh no.
Oh. Nah, you know what? They hear it at home anyway. Come on, get real.
And let's be honest,
it is
a Title I
school.
It's on TV. It's in the video game.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
on the city bus.
It's bad though when you got like a little kid going, "No, Mr. Aaron, you don't look like a fat bastard. You look really nice."
Oh, that's
okay.
your standard.
Why are
After
you so
setting up, how do I look?
self-deprecating?
Oh, like a fat bastard.
Do I look like a fat bastard? I always say that every time I come here to film it. Tell Andrew, I said, "Shoot
Yeah,
me from
you
here
look
up,
good, man. You know, like look at those big Hulk shoulders. Hey, so Aaron, tell us about. I mean, try to think about the time when you were like most angry about something. Tell us that story.
The
Is this
most
leading on
angry.
to when I no.
Have you ever had to rip somebody out of their car and just?
Oh,